What's going on YouTube? Listen up, young elder gang. This is Ted Strokes at you with another banger. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video, fam. I hope this video get at least 100,000 likes in this video. You will find history definitions, scripture information, and best of all, what we Americans have been deprived of from the beginning. The truth, keep in mind, this content used in this video is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only, and does not constitute legal advice or opinion. No attorney-client relationship is formed through the use of this video. You should not act or refrain from acting based on any information contained in this video without seeking legal counsel specific to your situation. We will give you the total truth as we best understand it today. Be sure to hit that like button, young elder gang. Hit that subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, hit that bell, and don't forget to check back with us every day for new content. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another journey into the fascinating world of law and justice. Today, let's unravel a legal concept that sounds almost like a fairy tale, one with a dark twist: the fruit of the poisonous tree. Picture this: one shady move by the cops, and the whole case goes up in smoke. Let's talk fruit of the poisonous tree. Here's the deal. If cops break the law while grabbing evidence, everything they find after that, no matter how juicy, is tainted. It's like biting into a shiny apple from a tree growing in toxic sludge. Looks good, but you're gonna regret it. Say Officer Joe busts into your place without a warrant and finds a stolen laptop. That laptop? Poisoned fruit. Say he uses the laptop to find a warehouse full of loot? Still poisoned. The law says, if the root's rotten, so is the fruit. Why? Simple. The rules gotta mean something. If cops could cheat and still win, what's the point of having rights? Fruit of the poisonous tree keeps them honest. Break the law, lose the evidence, game over. So next time you hear about a case tossed for bad fruit, remember, the system's not perfect, but this rule keeps it fair for everyone. That's justice, New York style. Imagine a beautiful apple tree growing in soil that's been poisoned. No matter how shiny or perfect the apples look on the outside, you wouldn't dare eat them. They're tainted from the very beginning, poisoned from their roots. In the world of law, this idea comes to life when evidence is gathered illegally. Anything discovered as a result of that illegal evidence is also considered tainted, and usually it can't be used in court. It's as if the poison spreads from the roots to every branch and fruit. This rule isn't just about technicalities, it's about fairness and about making sure those in power play by the rules and stay honest. Think of the police as gardeners. They have to follow the Constitution, especially the Fourth Amendment, when they gather evidence. If they ignore these rules, the whole process is compromised. If they break the rules, the evidence they find is spoiled, and so is anything that grows from it. Even if the evidence seems important, it's still considered bad fruit. The government shouldn't benefit from its own misconduct. If officials could break the law and still use what they found, it would send the wrong message. If law enforcement could use evidence found by breaking the law, what would stop them from doing it again? There would be no real reason for them to respect people's rights. The fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine acts as a powerful deterrent. Break the rules, and your evidence gets tossed out of court, no matter how crucial it might seem. It's not about letting people off the hook for crimes. Instead, it's about protecting everyone's rights, making sure the system is fair, and holding the government to a higher standard of justice. So, remember, the poisonous tree is the illegal action, and the fruit is all the evidence that grows from it. If the tree is poisoned, so is the fruit, no matter how tempting it looks. This doctrine keeps justice balanced for all, ensuring that everyone, no matter who they are, is protected by the same rules and standards. Let's break down how this important legal principle works, step by step, so you can see exactly how each part fits together. It all begins with an illegal act by the police, such as a search or seizure that violates your constitutional rights. This initial wrongdoing is what's called the poisonous tree. The first piece of evidence found as a result, imagine a stolen laptop discovered in your car's trunk, is known as the direct fruit of that illegal act. According to the exclusionary rule, that laptop is typically not allowed to be used as evidence in court because it was obtained unlawfully. But the consequences don't end there. The impact of the illegal act can spread even further. If police use information from the laptop to locate a warehouse filled with stolen goods, those goods become the indirect fruit, evidence that also stems from the original violation. The law is clear. If the path to any piece of evidence starts with an illegal act, then everything found along that path is considered tainted and may be excluded. It's like a chain reaction. The illegal search leads to the laptop, which leads to the warehouse, and so on. Each link is connected to the original mistake. This doctrine ensures that police can't take shortcuts or bend the rules to build their case, protecting everyone's rights. The entire investigation becomes poisoned from the very first misstep, making it impossible to use any resulting evidence. This process is designed to keep the justice system fair and balanced, from the beginning of an investigation to the final verdict. That's how the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine works in real-life legal cases, ensuring justice is served the right way. Let's see how this plays out in a real-world scenario, where the rules of evidence can make or break a case. Detective Miller has a strong suspicion that Sam is behind a recent burglary, but she doesn't have enough solid evidence to get a search warrant. Acting on her hunch, she decides to break into Sam's house without permission, an illegal move, often called the poisonous tree. Inside the house, she discovers a note and a key. These are considered the direct fruit of her illegal entry. Using the key, she opens a storage unit and finds stolen goods inside. This is the indirect fruit, still tainted by the original illegality. None of this evidence would have come to light if not for that initial unlawful entry into Sam's home. In court, Sam's defense attorney quickly files a motion to suppress all the evidence gathered from the illegal search. The judge examines the chain of events: illegal entry, discovery of the note and key, recovery of stolen goods, and rules that all the evidence is tainted. The result? Every piece of evidence is thrown out, excluded from the trial. The entire case collapses, not because Sam is proven innocent, but because the evidence was obtained in violation of the law. This doctrine exists to ensure that police respect constitutional rights and follow proper procedures. Ultimately, it's about protecting the integrity of the justice process, not just focusing on the outcome of a single case. This doctrine has deep roots in American law. It began with the 1914 Supreme Court case Weeks v. United States, which created the exclusionary rule for federal courts. Justice Frankfurter coined "fruit of the poisonous tree" in 1939's Nardone v. United States, arguing that both direct and indirect evidence from illegal acts should be excluded. The doctrine was cemented in 1963's Wong v. United States, applying the rule to both federal and state courts. These cases built the modern rule. Evidence from government overreach is unusable. The goal? Remove the incentive for police to break the law. This history shows America's commitment to liberty and fair process. The rule isn't absolute. There are 4 major exceptions. First, the independent source doctrine. If police find evidence through a separate legal path, it can be used. Second, inevitable discovery. If police would have found the evidence anyway, it's admissible. Third, an intervening act of free will. If a suspect voluntarily confesses after the illegal act, that breaks the chain. Fourth, the good faith exception. If police genuinely believe they're acting legally, the evidence might be allowed. These exceptions keep the law practical and balanced. They prevent the rule from being too rigid. The goal is justice, not technicality. The fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine is closely tied to the exclusionary rule. The exclusionary rule blocks evidence obtained directly from illegal acts. The fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine goes further, excluding evidence found because of that first illegal act. Think of it as a domino effect. The first piece falls and so do all the others connected to it. Without both rules, police could use illegal searches to get leads and build cases anyway. Together, they ensure police can't benefit from breaking the law. They work as a team to protect your rights. Justice depends on both. Why have a rule that sometimes lets the guilty go free? It's not about protecting criminals. It's about protecting everyone's rights. The doctrine keeps law enforcement accountable and deters abuse of power. It encourages police to follow the Constitution, leading to better, more trustworthy policing. It also protects our privacy, including our digital lives. The rule says the government can't use illegal shortcuts to invade our homes or data. Ultimately, it preserves the integrity of the justice system. If the government breaks its own rules, the system loses credibility. This doctrine ensures fairness and keeps liberty strong. It's a small rule with a huge impact on American freedom. Examples of the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine include evidence found by police during an illegal search, and then any further evidence discovered using the information from that illegal search. For instance, if police illegally search a home and find a drug ledger, the poisonous tree, then any evidence of buyers found by tracing that ledger is the fruit and is also inadmissible. Key exceptions where evidence may be admissible include independent source, inevitable discovery, and attenuation, where the connection between the illegal act and the evidence becomes weak. Police conduct an unlawful, warrantless search of a suspect's home and find a list of drug buyers in a ledger. Using that ledger, police obtain warrants to search the buyers' homes, where they find drugs and money. Under the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, the drugs and money found in the buyers' homes would likely be inadmissible in court, because the initial discovery was tainted by the illegal search of the first suspect's home. A police officer pulls over a driver without probable cause and illegally searches the vehicle, finding a firearm. The illegal search taints the firearm, making it inadmissible as evidence against the driver. If the driver is later charged with possession of the weapon, the firearm itself is the fruit of the poisonous tree. Police obtain a witness's name through an illegal search or interrogation. The witness is questioned and freely and voluntarily testifies in court. In this scenario, the connection between the illegal action and the testimony might be deemed attenuated, meaning the connection is weak enough to allow the testimony in court because the witness freely chose to speak. If the prosecution can prove the evidence was obtained from a completely separate legal source, it may be admissible. If the prosecution can show that the police would have discovered the evidence legally at some point, even without the illegal action, the evidence may be admitted. When the link between the illegal conduct and the discovery of the evidence becomes weak or sufficiently distant, the taint may dissipate, and the evidence can be admitted. A key example of the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine where the plaintiff, defendant in a criminal case, won, is Lingo versus City of Salem, where the court granted the defendant's motion to suppress evidence found after an illegal search, leading to the dismissal of charges against her. While not a criminal case with a traditional plaintiff, this case demonstrates the doctrine's power to benefit the individual by excluding illegally obtained evidence and its derivatives. Police officers entered a residential property without a warrant, specifically their carport, and approaching the back door, which violated the Fourth Amendment rights of the homeowner, Leah Lingo. The officers then obtained evidence after this initial illegal entry. Lingo's lawyer filed a motion to suppress this evidence, arguing it was the fruit of the initial unlawful search. The court agreed, granting the motion to suppress. As a result, the charges against Lingo were dropped because the prosecution could not proceed without the tainted evidence. The illegal police action, entering the carport, was the poisonous tree. Any evidence discovered as a direct result of that illegal action was considered the fruit of the poisonous tree and was inadmissible in court. Because the court found the initial police action unlawful, it protected Lingo's constitutional rights and prevented the use of the illegally obtained fruit against her. A notable example of the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine where the plaintiff, defense, won in federal court is Wong v. United States, 1963. In this Supreme Court case, the court ruled that evidence, the confession and testimony, was inadmissible because it was derived from an unlawful entry into Toy's apartment, which was the initial poisonous tree. In Wong v. United States, 1963. Police unlawfully entered James Toy's home without a warrant, which violated the Fourth Amendment. The fruit. As a result of the illegal entry and subsequent questioning, Toy pointed police to Wong's son as the source of the drugs. The plaintiff's argument. Defense. Wong's son's defense attorney successfully argued that the evidence against him was a fruit of the illegal search of Toy's apartment and thus inadmissible. The Supreme Court agreed with the defense, upholding the appellate court's decision that Wong's son's statements and the evidence derived from them should have been suppressed. This established that evidence stemming from a Fourth Amendment violation is inadmissible. How federal agents could use a fruits of the poisonous tree method to construct a case against a person through a process of intentional illegal conduct and the exploitation of legal exceptions. The following steps illustrate how agents could use such a technique to build a case. Step 1. Commit the initial illegal act, the poisonous tree. The process begins with an intentional constitutional violation designed to obtain the initial piece of incriminating information. For example, federal agents could perform an illegal, warrantless search of a person's home, car, or electronic devices, violating the Fourth Amendment. The goal is not necessarily to find a smoking gun, but to find a lead that will generate further, seemingly independent evidence. Step 2. Unlawfully collect information. During the illegal search, agents find an illegal item, such as a notebook with names and phone numbers, or discover the person has a hidden compartment containing a small amount of illicit material. This discovery is the poisonous tree. The agents do not report the search or the discovery properly in official records. Step 3. Fabricate or conceal a new, independent source. Using the illegally obtained information, agents create a new, seemingly legitimate basis for their investigation. This is a practice known as parallel construction, where agents construct a fabricated chain of events to cover up the illegal origins of the evidence. For example, using the names from the notebook, agents could falsify a report alleging an anonymous informant provided the names, secure an official search warrant based on this fabricated tip, contact the phone numbers to identify a potential informant. Step 4. Pursue inevitable discovery. Agents use the illegal information to accelerate an investigation that was already underway, or to manufacture one that would inevitably lead to the same evidence. The inevitable discovery doctrine is an exception to the fruits of the poisonous tree rule, where evidence found through unconstitutional means is admissible if it would have been discovered anyway through legal means. For example, agents may perform additional searches or surveillance based on the illegal lead, then claim the items would have been found eventually. Step 5. Exploit the good faith exception. Agents can intentionally pursue a defective search warrant, knowing that the evidence will still be admissible under the good faith exception if the warrant was signed by a judge. For example, they may omit key details or present misleading information to a judge to get a warrant. Even if the warrant is later found to be defective, they can argue they acted in good faith based on the signed warrant. Step 6. Create an attenuated chain of evidence. The attenuation doctrine allows illegally obtained evidence if the connection between the illegal act and the discovery of the evidence is sufficiently weak or remote. Agents could introduce an intervening event to weaken the link between the initial violation and the final evidence. For example, if the initial search uncovers incriminating photos, agents could leak this information to a news outlet, prompting a witness to come forward. The agents could then argue the witness's testimony is a separate, attenuated source, even though it was the result of the initial illegal search. Step 7. Coerce a confession. Agents might use the illegally obtained information to coerce a confession by intimidating or deceiving the suspect. The confession can then be presented as evidence. This relies on exploiting exceptions that allow evidence obtained after an illegal act, such as a confession given after a voluntary act of free will, to be admitted. Step 8. Conceal exculpatory evidence. Brady violation. Agents and prosecutors could suppress or conceal any evidence they find that might prove the defendant's innocence. This is a violation of the Brady rule, which requires prosecutors to disclose favorable evidence to the defense. Step 9. Use illegally obtained evidence to impeach the defendant. Illegally obtained evidence that has been suppressed cannot be used to prove guilt. However, It can sometimes be used to impeach or question a defendant's credibility if they take the stand and provide inconsistent testimony. Agents could rely on a defendant's lack of knowledge of the illegal evidence to trap them in a contradiction. Step 10. Commit perjury. In the final and most egregious step, agents could commit perjury by lying under oath about how evidence was obtained, how the investigation was conducted, or other relevant facts. Perjury is a felony offense and is illegal under federal law. The agent's testimony would support the fabricated narrative, obscuring the true origins of the evidence. A claim under the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine is a legal defense, which is used to challenge the admissibility of evidence during a criminal trial. If successful, it can lead to the suppression of key evidence and may force the prosecution to drop the case. The following steps outline how a criminal defense attorney would pursue this strategy. Step 1. Identify the poisonous tree. The first step is to identify the initial illegal act by law enforcement that violated the defendant's constitutional rights. These are most often Fourth Amendment violations but can include other issues. Illegal search or seizure. The police may have conducted a search without a valid warrant or without probable cause. Coerced confession. A confession may have been obtained after illegal conduct, such as during a custodial interrogation, where Miranda warnings were not properly given. Illegal arrest. The police may have made an arrest without probable cause. Step 2. Identify the fruit. Next, your attorney must identify all evidence that was discovered as a direct or indirect result of the initial illegal act. The fruit can be physical evidence, e.g., drugs, weapons, subsequent statements or confessions, witness testimony. For example, if police illegally search your home and find a stolen laptop, the tree, and then the laptop leads them to a witness who testifies against you, the fruit, your attorney would move to suppress both the laptop and the witness's testimony. Step 3. File a motion to suppress. The mechanism for arguing this doctrine is a pre-trial motion to suppress evidence. This motion asks the court to exclude the illegally obtained evidence from being used at trial. The process includes drafting the motion. Your attorney will file a formal motion with the court, citing the relevant constitutional violations and detailing the evidence that should be suppressed. Suppression hearing. A judge, not a jury, presides over a hearing to determine if the evidence was obtained illegally. Burden of proof. If the police acted without a warrant, the burden is on the prosecutor to prove the search was legal. If there was a warrant, the burden shifts to your attorney to prove it was invalid. Step 4. Address the prosecution's exceptions. The prosecutor will try to save the evidence by arguing that one of the doctrine's exceptions applies. Your attorney must be prepared to counter these arguments. Independent source. The prosecution may argue they obtained the evidence from a separate, lawful source. Inevitable discovery. The prosecution may argue they would have inevitably found the evidence through lawful means, regardless of the initial illegal search. Attenuation. The prosecutor may claim that the connection between the illegal act and the discovery of the evidence is so distant that the taint has faded. Good faith. This exception may apply if the police conducted a search in reasonable reliance on a warrant that is later found to be defective. Step 5. Secure the judge's ruling. The judge will decide whether to grant or deny the motion to suppress. Motion granted. If the judge agrees with your attorney, the evidence is suppressed. If the suppressed evidence was crucial to the prosecution's case, they may be forced to offer a favorable plea deal or drop the charges entirely. Motion denied. If the motion is denied, the case will proceed with all the evidence admitted. Your attorney can then decide how to proceed, which may involve going to trial or pursuing a plea bargain.